Welcome to our podcast, Parenting by the Pint. Enjoy the show.
Greetings, Minivan Mafia. Lauren and I are longtime friends from Chicagoland that love getting together to chat about life, kids, family, and beer.
Each week, we'll feature a brewery and sample at least 2 of their beers.
We'll also discuss a variety of topics ranging from parenting, pop culture, travel, marriage, and just about anything else that comes to mind. Welcome, everybody. It's time for another episode of your favorite podcast.
Yay.
How you doing today, Lauren?
I'm doing okay. It's Monday again. I feel like we got jumped to Mondays lately.
Yeah, what is it about Mondays? I don't know.
Maybe we need to drink on Mondays.
Ooh, that's a fair assessment.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say that's probably a big part of it.
I like it.
On
Yes.
that note, we're going to hit it hard today.
We are, actually.
Yeah. So we're not joking around. We are going to drink New Holland Brewing, 2 beers from them, but both from their Dragon's Milk series. So the first one is going to be regular old Dragon's Milk. I'm going to crack this open while you tell me about New Holland Brewing.
New Holland Brewing. Yeah, I haven't had a Dragon's Milk in a while, actually.
Me neither.
So
And
this
you
is
know,
kinda
I
nice.
bought these and I've not had either. So I bought
Sweet.
the first one we're having, which is just regular Dragon's Milk, and then we're having kind of a variant from their reserve.
I'm pretty excited about that one, actually.
Yeah, that was a possibility for my husband and I for our Keezer. I haven't ruled it out. This second beer is something we were talking
We're
about getting
testing.
for the
Okay, I
Keezer.
got it.
Yeah, so there's reasons.
Yeah, nice. I like it. If you don't know Dragon's Milk, then I don't know where you've been living under a rock in.
I mean,
but
right? This
yeah.
is a good example of a bourbon barrel-aged beer outside of when we talked about Bourbon County.
Yeah.
Other sort of like introductory
For
bourbon
sure,
barrel-aged
because this
beers.
has been out since 2001, actually.
Oh, wow.
So they first released it. So it's bourbon barrel aged stout, and it's been around for a long time
That's
now.
like
So
20 years.
yeah, exactly. So
More
this
than
is
20. We're in
definitely
2022 now.
21. I know. I don't know what month it came out, but yeah, 2001 is when they first released it. So yeah, so this is another very great example of something that you could have had as your first bourbon barrel aged beer for sure.
Cool.
So anyway, so New Holland is actually from Holland, Michigan. So they opened in 97. So like they're one of
okay.
the older breweries by comparison that, you know, there's a lot of new breweries that we've talked about, but yeah, so 97. So, two friends that grew up in Michigan. Brett and Jason actually started it. They grew up in Michigan. They eventually, you know, like everybody else, developed a love for home brewing. Jason is since no longer with New Holland. He's moved on to other brewery.
Okay.
But Brett is still the CEO, president. I'm not sure which delegation he calls himself, but he's the head of New Holland Brewing still.
The boss.
Yes, he's the boss. So
That's the title I like to use for
I
myself.
like that. That's good. You can get New Holland in almost every state in the U.S., along with Canada, Europe, and Asia. They had an agreement with Pabst, actually, for their distribution. So
nice.
they kind of run on their coattails for distribution and can get it most places. So even though still about 40% of their sales are in Michigan, you can get it most places. And they did about 50,000 barrels in 2020. So they produced quite a bit. You know, like I said, they released Dragon's Milk, which is pretty much their most popular of their beers.
I was like looking for other New Holland beers when we were discussing this episode.
Yeah.
And initially I was like, oh, I have this. I had the variant, the reserve beer we're going to drink next. And I was like, oh, I'll get a
Something
different
else.
New Holland
Yeah,
beer.
and
you
were
were
like,
just like, what are you gonna?
What do you
what
mean?
is there?
Well, I don't even know. I'm not entirely sure I've had anything else
And
by New Holland.
I really didn't come up with anything. I'm sure if my husband was sitting here, he would list maybe a couple
Yeah,
things.
sure.
They do have like a white Dragon's
They
Milk
do.
or something
Yes,
like
they
that.
do. Yes. They have a handful of variants, but that's still Dragon's Milk.
Yeah, yeah. It still said
That's
Dragon's Milk on
I
the
did not
can.
look at what or I don't know if it's even published anywhere, what the percentage of Dragon's Milk versus anything else they produces, but that would definitely be an interesting statistic. I would bet the majority is going to be this.
I agree. And that's
its
worth,
variants.
maybe we'll look into that,
Yeah,
because I would be
totally.
interested to know.
They also started distilling whiskey, rum, and gin in 2005 and started selling it in 2008. So you can also get some spirits from New Holland as well.
That's nice.
So it's not just this. They also so everything is very alcoholic so far.
I was going to say quite potent selection
right? Yeah.
at this place.
Yeah, these
which
are
I can't
11%
complain about.
ABV is what we're drinking here.
Yeah,
so
let's drink it.
yeah.
then
And
you
they
can share
also which I was sad to read, they attempted a bourbon barrel seltzer
Ugh,
last year called
gross.
Dragon's Share. So it reminded me of like Angel's Share when you talk about
Sure,
whiskeys.
yeah,
It's
okay.
the evaporation. So it like tainted it for me because like it's called the Dragon's Share, and I was like,
Yuck.
no, you can't compare a seltzer to a whiskey.
That
like,
is unpleasant
so,
to hear.
While I like this, I was like, yeah. All right, let's drink this. Tastes like I remember.
You know, I remember when I first drank a stout, it was Guinness, the same one that
Oh yeah,
most
Guinness
people,
was the first stout I ever drank,
yeah,
for sure.
most people's first stout.
I think I was in
Guinness.
Ireland when I
Yeah,
drank
sure,
it.
right?
Because I was underage in the U.S. So
I was going to say exactly the same
Yeah.
thing. I went to Ireland with my family after high school graduation.
It was my senior year.
Yeah, so probably
yeah.
a few short months later,
Yep, for sure.
we went to the brewery.
Yeah, we went to Dublin.
And
so
I got 2 pours just like everybody else.
because you can.
And
so.
I tried it and found it to be, disgusting. And I still don't love it. Although I haven't had it in forever, and maybe we should.
We should. I haven't had Guinness in a very long time.
But what I was going to note about it is that one of the things I didn't like about Guinness is that it's a very milky, very low carbonation beer. And at the time, those were the things I didn't like about it.
Huh, interesting.
And this, while it's definitely not the same flavor, because I think Guinness is pretty thin. Of course, it's not barrel-aged.
Right. So very different. I mean, not very different. There has some similarities.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
But this definitely has that smooth, creamy
Oh, for
mouthfeel, your favorite word.
I know. It's growing on
And
me.
it's
growing on
not
me.
super carbonated, which isn't a bad thing.
No,
I
especially
really
not in
like
this type of beer. Yeah.
I like how this tastes. I like that texture in it.
I don't get a ton of aroma. Like I
Yeah,
don't know what.
you're right.
It's not as
It has a good
strong
flavor.
smelling.
It's
Yeah.
got that sweet, like I said, it's a very milky stout,
Yeah.
but it doesn't have a strong aroma.
It really doesn't. I'm like,
We're both
sniffing my
just like,
glass here.
oh man, are
My
we
nose.
okay? I smell
right?
something, guys. I smell something.
I smell something. It's just not a very strong aroma. Don't be
Everything's
scared. We're
fine.
fine. Everything's fine. But yeah, I think so. When I first started drinking beer, which wasn't very long ago, actually, I didn't love like stouts. I just hadn't acclimated to it yet. So I remember I had bought some Dragon's Milk and I didn't love it. And we used it in our chili.
Oh, sure.
And it made fantastic chili.
I could see that.
Like, it was the perfect, it was just a perfect addition to it. And
I
now...
would think this would balance out, especially a spicier chili.
Yeah,
This would balance it out
It
beautifully.
was perfect. So that was like my first experience was like, oh, I don't love this, but I'm going to cook with it.
There it is. That's okay.
And it still worked great. And now as I've, gotten more into drinking it, now I enjoy it to drink, but I still feel like it has its place in my kitchen as well.
I think that's
could
great.
Totally see that.
I have a funny side note about Dragon's Milk that's very similar. So, I was not a big stout drinker initially when I started drinking craft beer.
Sure.
Of course, like many people, I drank IPAs and APAs and stuff like
kind
that.
of what you get into,
Yeah,
How
you kind of
start
there, and then you realize that there's good beer in the world because you didn't know that before.
Nope, so much of it.
And every once in a while, someone that just like slips in something else, and as time goes on, you grow to like other things. Sometimes you find favorites. Sometimes, like Lauren and myself, we love everything.
Yeah, honestly.
There are very few exceptions. But
somebody asked me the other day, what kind of beer do you drink? And I said, I drink beer.
I can't even answer that question anymore. I don't even know what to say. I'm just like...
I like most beers, and I will try anything. That's usually what I say, is I will try anything, and I like most beers.
Yes.
But anyways, continue
so at the beginning, I was also not a stout drinker, and I remember specifically a time my husband came home with a Dragon's Milk S'mores beer.
Oh, that sounds fantastic.
Yeah. If I recall, it was fantastic, except that I did not appreciate it because I wasn't there yet, experience-wise.
Yep.
And he gives me a try of something that I would absolutely never order in a bar. And I take a small taste, and I say to him, and this resonates with me every time I drink something, this tastes exactly like what it should taste like.
Yeah.
It tastes like s'mores. It's a stout. It's got all of those elements. I got graham cracker. I got marshmallow. I got chocolate. It was all there in a beautiful like mixture. I just don't like it.
Which is okay, but that means that it's a good beer, though.
Absolutely.
Because it was exactly as they intended.
And I think as a result, it was kind of a turning point for me because I like allowed myself to try something I would have otherwise never tried. I realized that maybe I needed to be more open-minded about beer styles that I just hadn't tried yet. And my husband, I think, is the same way, because at that exact same time, he never would have drank an IPA or a double IPA or a New England.
So something completely different. But...
Those were not his beer styles. Now, while he doesn't often order that beer style, if he's like out at a restaurant or something, he'll split one with me at home, or he'll buy a 4-pack of Hot Butcher's latest if it's something we like or want to try or something like that, and enjoy it and appreciate it in the same way that I was trying to become open-minded about stouts.
which is awesome. So that totally randomly made me think of something that I saw recently. So there's a beer that's a collab. I believe it's spearheaded by the Pink Boots Society. It's called Tits Up. And Duclaw, I think, was the main brewery in it.
Okay.
But the weird part isn't any of that. The weird part is it's a New England style India Pale Lager.
Whoa.
Right? Like,
what?
Exactly.
What
I saw
that?
it. I had to take a picture of it on Facebook because I was like, this is something that is not a thing.
I want to drink that.
I know. That's why I saved it, because I was like,
yes,
I don't know where to find this, but this is something totally new, totally different, and I have no idea what to expect.
Yes.
So if anyone finds it, but again, open-minded, try something new. But I went to share that with you, like, I have never seen this or heard of this before.
Yes.
And this is something totally new and different.
And and it's lovely to think about that that's where we're at now when it comes to beer tasting. I mean, there's almost nothing I wouldn't try.
Yes.
With the exception of some of those beers
some
from
of those
the weird
beers.
Combo
list. Some of those I'm not going anywhere near.
I re-listened to that episode very recently.
Yeah, I'm staying socially distanced from those beers.
And I was just like, this is kind of gross. I'm glad I'm listening to this like while I'm driving to work and not like while I'm eating my lunch.
Yeah, fair. Totally understandable. But for the most part, I am willing to try any new and unique combination. So that really piqued my interest, because I was like, this is something totally new and different.
I love it. Speaking of kind of new and gross, let's talk about the post-baby visitor time.
Yes, we're going back to babies, guys.
We're
years away, but we're going back to
babies once in a while. We got to hit on that subject once in a while, because some of you might have a new baby or might be thinking about having a new baby. Best of luck to you with that.
Yes,
I
for sure.
will right now list for you a lot of the things I would be willing to do for you as a visitor of a new baby.
Okay. Yes.
So when we were talking about discussing this subject, I kind of broke it down into 2 categories.
Okay.
Things that I will do when I visit somebody who has just had a baby, and
Okay.
things that I wanted when someone would visit me.
Oh.
And
okay.
the only reason that I would make the distinction is because I have some little, like, idiosyncrasies that kind of change those 2 answers. But a lot of these are
Going to overlap.
Yeah,
Totally.
definitely. For me, one of the things that I'm always more than happy to do when I visit the mom and the baby is hold the baby so that you can take a shower / cry on the floor.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is.
Probably at the same time.
Yeah, or both.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. I would be very
We're moms. We
comfortable.
multitask. It's
Yeah.
fine.
I could probably still get a good cry in the shower,
Oh, most
pretty
days
regularly.
I probably very much could. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't even have a baby who has taken every moment of me from it,
Yeah,
from
so-
myself.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yes,
no.
so I totally, I want to do that for you. You need to go, and the baby's going to, like, cry or, like, need to eat or, like, need a pacifier or whatever. If you want me to swaddle that thing and hold it for, like, 20 to 30 minutes while you cry in the shower.
Totally. I can do
Or
that.
be functional in the shower and actually clean yourself. Whichever one it is, I'm there for you, man. That is something I can do pretty much whenever.
Yeah. No.
Just call me.
I
I'll
agree.
come over and I'll do it.
I agree. Yeah.
I also like to make food / bring food. But I always feel like the one thing about that is when you do that, you got to be ready to do the post-dinner cleanup. If you bring a bunch of food over and you leave a bunch of pans in somebody's sink,
no,
you really
'cause
didn't do them a
that's
favor.
worse. Then it's all this stuff you
Yeah,
gotta
now
do.
I got to wash all these dishes.
Yeah. But,
so
like,
for
yeah.
me, what I used to do, my friends are starting to get a bit older. We don't have a lot
We
of
don't
friends
have
who
a
have
lot
new
of
babies
friends.
anymore.
Not a lot. Handful, but not
There
a lot.
are
Yeah.
some, but it's less often. You know,
Yes.
a lot, like, my brother is older than me, so when he was going through this phase, I was on the younger side.
Yeah.
My friends are a very big mixture. There were a couple who had kids before me. There were a couple that had kids after me.
Yeah.
The time period was close for the most part, but there are definitely
Oh, yeah.
exceptions. I
All
have
over.
friends who have real little or babies even.
Yeah.
That are the same age as me.
Yep.
And I just, like, feel like the food thing and the cleanup thing is something that I just, like, would be happy to do. But I always liked to bring, like, something that was in a pan you could throw away.
Disposable.
Like the aluminum
Completely.
pans. I have, like, a
Yes.
stack of them from Costco
Yep.
in my pantry. And if I'm going to make you, like, a baked masticholi, I'm going to put it in the pan.
Yep.
And I'll even bring you some paper plates if you want me to.
Sure.
Otherwise, I will do your dishes.
Yep.
I will do it.
But I will not. Essentially, what I think of is I don't want to cause you any additional work.
Yeah, that's not the point of
So,
my visit.
Exactly. The
I'm not
point
here
is
to,
to try
like,
and make it
Take
easier.
photos with the baby. I'm here to,
No.
like, service
Yes.
your home
what
in
can
some
I
way.
bring, or I can order something for you.
That I can do, too.
Nowadays, I can just Uber Eats stuff to your house.
Yeah.
Like, if I can't come over, I can still assist in some way.
And I absolutely love that. I wish that there was some
Right?
of that, man. I mean, I know there's been delivery
Sure, but
forever.
it's not the
so
same.
pizza and, like,
So
Chinese
much
food and
easier
stuff like
now.
that.
Yeah.
But, like, man, there is a soul food place in Bolingbrook that I, like, absolutely love. And if I had just had a baby, I would definitely want some fried chicken about
Oh,
once
yeah.
a week. And that would have been very difficult to accomplish.
Yeah, when we had
8 years
kids,
ago.
for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed.
So I'm glad that that's gotten easier. And calling in food is a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah,
I've
I've
also,
done that. Yes.
to a limited extent, and this kind of piggybacks off the other thing I said, I'm comfortable babysitting. It's just, it depends on where you're at as a new parent. New parents are not necessarily comfortable with the idea
Yeah.
of, like, leaving their child for more than the 20-minute shower cry.
My friends have over the years. Most of my friends, with the very few exceptions, kids are our kids' age. So
Sure.
the vast majority are years into this. But back when we all had babies, there were huge variations of what people were comfortable with.
Of course.
I had friends that didn't leave their kids for years.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I had friends that were, getting a babysitter in, a couple of months. I mean, granted, we were probably those parents, but it was my parents or close friends.
Yeah.
But there's a whole variety of what people are comfortable with.
Yeah, so that's why, like, putting that on the list, I'm cool with the idea of allowing you the opportunity to, like, go to the grocery store or hit the doctor's appointment.
Yes.
The things that you, like, kind of have to do, but taking the baby with is, like, a huge nightmare.
Yes.
I'd be happy to do that stuff.
Yeah.
Even more so, I think, now than when I had really little or babies, because now I'm kind of like, I have a healthy appreciation for that time period being over in my life.
Agreed.
And I think that as a result, like, holding a baby for an hour doesn't seem like a big deal because I didn't do it every single day for the last 3 months.
Yes.
So, like,
it's much easier when you're not in that phase to be I can totally help with
I think
this.
that's why grandparents are so excited about babies.
They're so far removed from having to deal with
them. They don't even remember what babies look
basis.
like, and then all of a sudden you show them one that resembles
like,
them. And they're just like...
Well, even I said to my husband, so when we were talking about this, I was like, what was I like when we had the baby? Like,
I know, right?
What did I say?
I know, I should have asked my husband that.
I totally did, because I'm like, I don't even remember. Like, were we cool with, like, visitors? And I'm like, I can't imagine I wasn't, because I'm a hugely social person. But,
right.
But I'm like, I legit don't remember a lot of the first, like, beginnings. I was so sleep deprived, especially with the twins.
Yes.
That I was like, I don't even know who visited. I don't even know. I mean, so, but anyways, continue on. I will
let you know that I did not visit you after you had the twins because I also had a very young baby.
Yes.
So I'm apologizing for that. However, I was sort of in my own zone at the time.
We're totally
good. And we're cool now.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been concerned. That's the other thing, though. I was never offended by anyone that didn't.
Yeah, sure.
Visit me. So, like, would I welcome visitors, and did I? Yes. And both times. Like, a handful of people visited us in the hospital both times. With my first, we weren't there for that long. Mm-hmm. I did have C-sections with both, though. So I was there longer than a natural birth. So my oldest was an emergency C-section, so we were there for a few days. And then the twins... Well, it was twins, so clearly, I mean, it has to be a C-section, but I mean, they were freaking huge. So, like, I mean, my boy twin was 6 pounds, 13 ounces, and 21 inches long, and my girl twin was 6 pounds, 8 ounces, and, like, 20 inches long. They were the size of one normal child.
Yeah.
So, like, it was a little bit to, like, get back and recover and whatnot, but we had some visitors in the hospital, and then we had visitors when we got home from the hospital. Mm-hmm. Mostly very close friends in the hospital. One of my best friends visited after we had my oldest and came home and gave us a card, and I was totally oblivious to what the card said, but she signed it Auntie Lauren and Uncle Brandon, because she was telling us she was pregnant, and I completely way over my head, and it said something else in there, but, like, I didn't even recollect, like, and it didn't register for me.
That's too subtle, man.
Yeah, and so Brandon had to be like, oh my God, congratulations. And I'm like, congratulations? What? What happened? Like, I was completely oblivious.
What happened? Did she win the lottery?
Yeah, I'm like, what's going on? And they're like, we're having a baby. And I'm like, oh. But no, I was completely like,
you're like, no,
lost.
I already did things.
Yeah, I'm like, no, this happened. We're home here. He's over here.
It's a baby.
Yeah,
it's right
baby,
there.
Baby, right there. So some of it was just like, I'm tired and whatever.
Sure.
But the things that you are listing and will continue to list probably were totally the things I needed. Like, I need to shower.
Yes.
Please hold my baby. Or just not even hold it. Just sit here.
Just
and
be in the room with him.
If he cries, pick him up. Or do something.
Or stop him from crying. Whatever you want to do that's like, like, safe for babies.
Make that happen. And so that would have been super helpful at the time. Mm-hmm. And, like, Brandon went back to work, so he was gone for 24 hours at a time. So, like, whatever help that someone would be willing to give me, I would take. So these are things that I definitely would have been cool with.
I didn't do a lot of this, and I did get offers for this, but it was mostly my mother, and I'm sure your mother did the same thing. but I would have gladly cleaned if somebody had wanted me to. Most people, I think that's too much for them to ask you to like fold this laundry or like,
that's, I
other
feel
than like possibly the dishes after a meal.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Dishes,
which I, of course, would be happy to do as well.
I do feel like we need to normalize asking for help.
Absolutely.
And we totally don't as a society. We feel like we take on, it's my responsibility and I'm going to take this on and I don't need help. And there are people who are willing to help us. Like, I'm willing to help my friends. But people have a really hard time asking for help. And it's also hard because if you say, like, okay, what can I do? Most people are just going to say no. Like, oh, nothing,
no,
I'm
thank
fine.
You, though.
So, like, we have to figure out how to sneakily be like, okay, I'm going to bring you dinner. What do you want? Or something. Like, I'm going to do this for you. I'll give you some option, but I'm going to do it. But we definitely, as a society, do not ask for help like we should, I think.
Well, and I think in this last 2-year experience that we've had, that's come into light very strongly with people because you've realized what it would be like to be alone.
Isolated, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you realize how much you need other people in general.
Yeah.
And I think that as a result, I think people have realized that it's okay to feel like you want more from people.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, even it's social interaction.
Yeah.
Or help. Or a meal, or a grocery store visit,
like, yes,
or whatever.
I could really use someone to stop at the grocery store for me. Like,
yeah.
I asked my friend Megan, actually, she broke or fractured whatever her foot, and I was like, I will go to the grocery store for me. And she, if you're listening, is a horrible person who doesn't ask for help. Her and her husband are both really bad at that. I love them both dearly.
Yeah.
But they have a hard time, like a lot of us, asking for help. But I literally should have just went to the store and been like, here, I don't know what you need, but here's your groceries. Like, or something. But
here's the basics.
Those are things that, especially as a new parent, that we really need to be more okay asking for help for some of these things.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
So now I kind of want to talk about some of the things that I wanted / got when I was a new mother.
Okay.
You already said it. I wanted someone to socialize with me. Mm-hmm. So when I got home and somebody was like, I'd like to come and see you and the baby, I don't think I ever said no.
Yeah, I don't think I did either.
Mostly because I wanted to see you.
Yeah.
I wanted to see people.
Yeah,
I enjoyed just sitting there and chatting with you.
Yes.
And I think for me, that overrode a lot of like other things you could have done when you visited me, like make a meal or let me take a shower, blah, 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 all those things. Because honestly, I didn't need those things as much as I needed social interaction for me.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. Yeah.
I'm a really picky eater, which we've talked about constantly on here. I would have to say it's got to be almost every episode. It's got to be on the bingo card.
It definitely is
right?
on the bingo card.
Like Carrie's
I'm going to make
Kara's
a bingo
picky.
card one of these days.
Yeah, we should start working on that. Kara's picky. Anytime, sometimes seltzer comes up. I think it's a good one.
All right. Anyways, yes, agreed. I'm writing it down.
Yes. I didn't sleep enough.
That comes up
we'll stop
every day.
There.
Yeah.
But as a result, I am not super receptive to people bringing me meals they prepared.
Makes sense, yeah.
And I don't mean to sound rude or ungrateful. It's just like when you mentioned the like ordering food, I was just like, oh, that would be amazing for me.
Yeah.
Because you would be like, what do you want
from this place?
And I would say,
you just pick something.
I want fried chicken.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
All right, I ordered some fried chicken. It's going to be there in 35 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
And that would be perfect.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to make fried chicken.
Nope.
And I got to have fried chicken.
And that's what you wanted. So it works out great. Yeah.
So as a picky eater, I love the idea of people ordering food as a gift or whatever to me.
You could give me that for my birthday. Like, I literally just like, whatever.
Yeah, no, seriously, same.
Yeah.
I will eat that fried chicken for my birthday. And I will be very happy about it.
Agreed.
I mentioned babysitting and like comfort levels, and you kind of talked about how you were comfortable kind of with a babysitter sooner maybe than others.
Sure. It depends on who it was. Like, not a stranger, but close family and friends for sure.
Yeah, maybe you're not hiring the college girl down the road to babysit
my current
your
babysitter,
2-month-old.
who I hired just like, Well, I mean, and actually, even my current babysitter wasn't a stranger. She was our friend's cousin. So, like, I don't know if we've ever really had a stranger babysit our kids, to be honest with you.
My babysitter is a coworker of my husband's.
Yeah.
From when he used to work at a different store.
Yeah.
And he knew her for quite a while, and she kind of kept, like, pestering him sort of about it. She was like, "Oh, I love kids. I would love to babysit for you." She lives in the next town over.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
She was a college student.
Okay.
And we just had her come over one day and meet the kids and meet me and interact, and she was just an absolute delight.
Well, it works out perfect.
And
yeah.
that was great.
Yeah.
And I honestly don't think she would have been offended if we never asked her to babysit, or if we kind of decided it wasn't the right move for us.
Sure.
I don't think it would have bothered her at all. She was so laid back and friendly.
That's awesome. Yeah.
But yes, I would have accepted babysitting. My in-laws babysat for us 1 or 2 times, I think, when my now 7-year-old was a baby. So we could, like, take him to, like, a doctor visit and leave the older one at home.
Yeah.
Or, my mother, who's amazing and was that person who would come and fold all my laundry.
Oh, yeah, my parents
still
for sure.
does that.
Dude, my dad, I will come home from work and my dad would be sitting on my couch folding the laundry that was in the dryer. Still, to this day.
Man.
Like last week.
That's great.
Literally.
That's amazing. I'm pretty sure my dad doesn't know where my dryer is.
Yeah. So,
I mean,
our parents
he knows
are both.
where the fridge
Yeah,
is.
well, that's fair. But yeah, our parents are both amazing, and I'm sure we're like always there when our kids were little. Well, my parents babysat my oldest while we went on vacation and got pregnant with our twins.
But you were also like living
we
there,
were living
right?
there because the house got turned on fire and etc.
That story that
yeah,
we've
that one
bingo card.
Yeah, for sure. Fire bingo card.
Fire is a good one.
But yes, babysitting for sure.
I would have also accepted, and I still would accept this help, folding child clothing.
Oh, I hate that so much. You know what? It's not even the folding. Thankfully, the twins are old enough and to put their clothes away. However, when I go into their drawers, they literally just shove stuff in. And so, like, I've given up on this fight because they dress themselves too. So, like, if they can't find the shirt they want, it's their own fault.
Yes.
But
you organized
that whole
it.
process is one of my least favorite things.
Absolutely. Yes. My children they both do put their own clothes away.
Yes.
Pretty much 100% of the time. And my oldest, like, does everything. He'll fold.
Oh, nice.
He'll even do a load of laundry with prompting. I mean, he's not just like, oh, my hamper's getting full.
My twin boy's
do
laundry currently is, like, as tall as him.
The height
and
of
I was
the
like,
hamper.
dude, you need to bring it down to the laundry and, like, do a load. It literally is going to fall over his dirty clothes
He's,
basket.
like, tossing things on top
I'm
because
like,
he can't
oh
see
my
the
God.
top.
You're going to run out of clothes
Beautiful.
very soon. Very soon.
Yeah. So I will say, actually, this happened quite a bit today. We did a lot of laundry, and they were great. And
That's good.
I have complained about my children's level of effort in the past, but they're going the right direction.
Good.
I
That's
feel really
good.
good about that.
Awesome.
That's a little off topic, but I will say that having even my own children help with things around the house is a huge comfort.
Oh, for sure.
And it was a comfort to have people kind of help when I was in a place where there was a load of baby clothes on the chair when you stopped by. And if you stood up and you started folding it, I probably would not have stopped you. Yep. I wouldn't have been like, oh, no, you don't have to do that. I would have been like, oh, hey, thanks for doing that.
Thank you. Yes.
The room is upstairs. It's down the hall on the right. Not the left, the right, okay? Yeah. So, like, drawers, it's going to be obvious once you get there. You open the drawer, it's got onesies in it. Put the onesies in that one. There we go.
Perfect. Those tasks that were just, like, tedious to do, those were the things that would definitely be helpful. So, yeah, I really sometimes don't remember, like, the twins, I don't remember, like, the first year of their life. So I remember, like, flashes of things. Like, I remember the day after we came home from the hospital because we went for a walk and left, and everyone said I was crazy because I was walking around Cantigny with 2 5-day-olds and a 2-year-old. So I remember that, and we like laid them down on a blanket, and they just kind of sat there and stared. But I don't remember like my mom and my godmother, because we had just moved in 2 days before the twins were born, and I was in the hospital for a day. So literally I was living in that house for a day. I hadn't unpacked my kitchen. I hadn't unpacked boxes. I hadn't done anything. So like they unpacked all of our stuff. They put everything away. Like they were a huge help. And you know, my dad was retired before we even had kids. And my mom retired when we had my oldest. So then both of my parents were retired, so they could help us a ton. And my in-laws were not. So, you know, they couldn't help us as much, but my parents were definitely helping all the time. Now you and I were both very receptive to having guests and friends and things like that over. I have a handful of friends that weren't. They were very standoffish, or they had some postpartum and they were struggling and they didn't want people around. So, you know, there's a different ends of the spectrum on what people are comfortable with. I am a social person almost always. Like I can't even imagine. I can't recall a time when I haven't wanted to converse with someone.
I know,
very rarely am I like, no, I really just don't want to talk about it. Very rarely.
And the funny thing is, you know, we record these episodes of the podcast and we hover around the like 35 to 45 minute mark with the episode. The amount of time that Lauren and I talk when we
before
record,
and after is like double what we actually post.
If I just hit record when we sat down and you guys
it'd be like
got
2
to listen
hours.
to me complain about how hard bedtime was and the normal stuff.
Same. Yeah.
Episodes would be 3 times the length.
For sure.
Because we just like to socialize. We'll talk about nothing. And it'll just go on for 15 minutes.
So that's me. And so when I had kids, I was the same. Like I wanted to socialize, having that interaction with other people, especially sometimes when I was at home for 24 hours with a baby who doesn't talk and my husband was gone. Like that's what I wanted. But I definitely have friends that were the complete opposite and wanted to just be alone or with the baby, or you know, didn't have the energy or desire to socialize with other people. So, you know, there's different people have different things. And sometimes even those people need help, though, but you need to figure out how to help that person.
Yeah. Well, I think you could go back to the whole, like, I'm going to order food for you.
Exactly. I'm going to drop off groceries. I'm going to drop off
They don't need to see you if that's not what they want.
So there's totally different things. You can always do something. It's just understanding what a person is comfortable with.
What they need from you.
Exactly. And you don't want them to feel uncomfortable because it's already hard as hell to like have a newborn.
Yeah, they're already uncomfortable. So it's already hard.
Definitely
it's really
don't
hard.
want to make it harder. But to understand what they need is key. And to help with that, especially for, you know, our good friends that's what we want. So sometimes it's going to be to be there for them, and sometimes it's going to be to help them in other ways. And you have to figure out what that looks like for that individual person. You know, I think having a baby now is very different than having a baby when we had a baby too. Because like even my husband was saying, he's like, I mean, we let anybody come over who wanted to. We just said, hey, don't be sick and wash your hands. Like, but we weren't crazy about like, you know, anything else or wear a mask or do any of that. Like, it's very different. Absolutely. And the one thing he did remind me of that I didn't really think about was we weren't keen on people kissing the newborn.
Oh, sure.
So, and it's weird to say that or think that. And like nowadays, I feel like less people would be apt to do that.
Sure.
But that was something that we were like, maybe, you know, you can hold the baby, but, you know, try not to breathe too much on it and kiss them too much.
Yeah. You know, it's funny with everything that's going on currently, I struggle to understand what it would be like to have a newborn right now.
I'm not sure how I would react, to be honest. I don't think I would be that. I don't think I would be.
You would completely isolate yourself.
No, I definitely would not. And also don't think I would be super overly cautious. I would probably be very similar. Wash your hands. Don't come over if you're sick.
Yeah.
And those kind of things.
Well,
but
you and I have those conversations
literally every
with
week.
each other.
Okay, is anybody sick?
How you doing? Yeah. And
like,
we were just like, hey, he came home with the sniffles yesterday. Are sniffles okay or not okay?
Right.
Not okay. Cool. See you next week.
Right. Totally.
Sometimes it means putting out episodes less often. Sure. And honestly, we just do what feels right to us.
Which is totally fine. And that's how I think I would probably be now. And like we, Illy, we have a really good friend who, has a 6-month-old. And, I think it was probably hard for them to navigate that too. But like we saw her right before she had the baby and then saw her recently. And her baby's the cutest baby like ever. But, I did.
Even cuter because she's not your baby.
Also very true.
Yeah.
But I did ask. I was like, do you want us to wear masks? Like,
yes.
If you do, cool. Like, totally fine. If you don't, also cool. Whatever you want. Like,
just say it. Just tell me what you want.
We did cancel one time because I said the kids are all have the sniffles, etc. I'm not gonna come over, so we canceled and then we rescheduled because I was like, all right, that's what we're gonna do. But if you want me to wear a mask around your kid, I totally will. I'm leaving that up to you. It's your house, your kid, whatever you're comfortable with.
Absolutely.
I don't think I would, and actually she didn't ask us to either, but I would totally do that if someone wanted us to,
Yes.
And honestly, we probably should have maybe been doing that back in the day even. Like, I
do think there are moments that I look back at where I'm kind of like, well, maybe that was a bit borderline, like for example, I don't know if this would have gone differently or not, but for example, when my 7-year-old was born, my older son was sick.
Oh.
He had a cold.
Oh, okay.
Not bad sick,
but sick.
But he had a cold, and because he was 2.5, as most parents will tell you, it's really hard to gauge how sick they actually are.
You have no
because
idea.
His nose is running, so I can tell that he's got a runny nose.
Yeah.
And if he had a fever, which he did not,
right.
But if he had a fever, then I would be able to tell
But it's
that.
only the outward symptoms. You have no idea at that age.
They don't tell you your throat hurts or they're having trouble breathing or you don't know those things. You don't know them. And that's what led to when my son had the tonsil abscess and had to have his tonsils out. And that whole disaster, that whole thing, it was that we had moments where we really could not gauge how he felt.
It was,
And he was older then, but even when
it's still hard for kids to communicate. Like, so our oldest is autistic and he has no idea how to communicate when anything hurts him. He can say something hurts, but he always says his ear hurts because he has a history of ear infections, but it's not his ear. Like something hurts, but it could be his knee and he'll say his ear. It could be his head. It could be his tooth. We have zero idea what is actually hurting him. So it's literally a guessing game, and we take him to the doctor, and they're like, nothing, everything's fine. And we're like, maybe his stomach hurts. Maybe he has to go to the bathroom. I have no clue.
Yeah,
so he's an extreme case because zero idea. But even the twins, who are very communicative, like we were somewhere and they're like, those kids talk a lot. And I was like, yes, they do. They talk a lot. But even them, sometimes it's hard for them to understand where things are coming from. And even for us, sometimes, like if my ear hurts, it might be because my sinuses, it might be because I have a toothache. It might, like, there's so many different things that you're like, something hurts, but I can't pinpoint what and
Well, yeah.
So
exactly. Yeah. Well, and I will say the flip side of that is the older you get, the more you think you're having a heart attack rather than having indigestion.
Yeah. Literally, I'm like, well, what doesn't hurt
my
today?
My chest hurts.
Like,
am I dying or did I just
like
eat too much
like
spicy
Tums?
food?
Like what? Yeah, so agreed. I feel like I'm falling apart most days.
Yes,
so,
I've had many times where I'll note some kind of ailment. I'll be like, well, there's this weird sore in my mouth. I either have cancer or I bit that spot and it hurts now.
Yes.
And you're just sort of like, I'll just keep an eye on it. We'll see where we're at in 2 weeks.
Right, exactly. That's
if I start to forget the faces of my family, then it's probably cancer.
It's a big deal, yeah. All right, so first of all, I never read the back of this. So, Dragon's Milk. On. Throughout the ages, Dragon's Milk has been a term used to describe potent ales and elixirs worthy of celebration, a reward at the end of a journey. So that's where the Dragon's Milk comes from. So now we're going to drink the Reserve with salted caramel. So our latest legend is aged for 3 months in bourbon barrels and layered with sweet and salty caramel flavors. So before we drink this, I will say one other fact about New Holland is they are now, as of November, the largest fully independent craft brewer in Michigan. So
Nice.
Bell's was forever.
Right.
But Bell's sold in November of 2021
Yes.
to a subsidiary of Japan's Kirin.
Yes.
So now they're owned by a conglomerate, like they're owned by a big company.
Right.
So now New Holland is actually the largest completely independent craft
Wowee.
brewer in Michigan. So with
Good
that,
for them. Congratulations, New
Dragon's
Holland.
Milk Reserve,
Let's try salted caramel, huh?
salted caramel. Okay, so this does smell caramely to me.
And it definitely
And it tastes caramely. Ooh, I like this one.
I was going to say, but not too caramel. This is good.
No, this is really good.
Ooh.
Because it's not like, it's like that, it's like how your mouth is coated after you chew one of the ridiculously caramely caramels that stick in your teeth. But like it's the after. It's like what your mouth feels like
Yes.
after you eat
Yes.
them. And it's
that coating that you're talking about.
That's
I get
how
what you're
this
saying.
tastes to me.
This is good. It is.
Ooh.
It is very sweet.
I don't think you could get a Keyser of this.
Yeah,
I think it'd be
would
too
like
much.
this bottle, and I could share it with somebody, and I could
Yes.
share a couple bottles of
For
this
sure.
comfortably.
Oh, I would.
don't
Yeah.
know if I want a keg of it. I don't know.
I don't know.
Now think on it. Let's drink this small sample that I still have.
I could think on it. I don't know how much I could drink in a sitting of this. It would be a
Right.
very small. Like this is probably pretty
good for you.
perfect.
You know, it's funny that you say it that way, though, because a lot of times when we talk about beer for the Keyser,
Yeah.
we talk about how nice it is to be able to have a small sample of something.
Yeah.
So, like, if you're hanging out and you drink a 12-ounce or a 16-ounce of something,
Yeah.
and you're kind of done for the night, but you're like, well, maybe I'll have a
A
little
little of
a
something.
little
you
bit
can
from the
just go-
Keyser is kind of perfect. And we used to have a maple barley wine in the Keyser, and that was how I drank that. Was that I would have a little bit every now and then. It was almost never that it was like the full pour
pint, yeah.
I drank.
This is really good.
It's really good, though.
It's very good.
Definitely salted caramel. I mean, that's exactly, I can't describe it any other way.
It's
That's exactly what it is.
But it is very, very good. So, all right, well, we'll wrap it up.
Yeah.
New
So
Holland.
Hopefully
good.
you learned some things that we
Yeah.
learned some things about each other's feelings on new baby visiting.
Yes.
But, you know, little pointers that we have
Maybe
for
you can
everyone.
Reach out to people in your lives that this applies to.
Absolutely. That sounds good.
So, fantastic.
All right. See you next time, guys.
Bye.
Thanks everyone for listening to the latest musings from Parenting by the Pint.
Be sure to find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe to us wherever you find your podcasts.
Have a great week and cheers to you all.